Hey, this is Professor Ken, and I just wanted to give you guys some background on the homework 3 and homework 4. Now, before I get into that, I just want to sort of remind you that this is all a build on, right? So, what you do in the homeworks will be part of your final marketing project, right? So, it's not going to be separate. We're building this week by week, and then we'll add everything together so you have a nice total plan. And I'll do some videos on the concept as well so that you have that information. And this way we're learning together. Okay. So let's talk about homework 3 first. The first part, as you start to develop your marketing strategy, your marketing plan, is to really understand your product. Now, your product could be a product or a service. It could be maybe it's an idea that you want to get off the ground, or maybe it's an existing product that hasn't really been doing so well that you want to give life to. Maybe it's a friend, a family product, something like that. Or maybe it's a small business that you can help and develop a marketing plan for. But the first part of this is to really dig into your product, to really know what your product is. Now, remember, you have to solve a problem or fill a need here. So when you describe your product, you want to say what my product does best, how my product solves this particular problem, or how my service will help this particular customer because it's going to do certain things. Now, when we talk about a product, we have to make it unique. We have to make it different. And we use something called a unique value proposition or a unique selling proposition that identifies how that product is different. It's differentiation. That's important. We don't want to have a me too product. Now, there are plenty of items out there that are the same. If you go on Amazon or you go anything online, you see there's tens, 20s, 30 people selling the same type of item. Now, they might be different in a little bit, maybe by color, by size, or maybe they're different because they can get it to you in 24 hours versus 3 days, things like that. So there is some differentiation in how they deliver the product or service. That's okay too. You can differentiate that way. But if you look at the products, a physical product has to be different in some way, shape, or form. A consumer doesn't want to buy the same product, right? Why would you do that? Then your market would be very small. You'll have to be cheaper than them, or you'll have to be much better than them. You can't be the same, because if you're the same, you won't succeed. Now, you could be the same if you're a service and be in a different geography, let's say, that, or work in a different industry, like digital marketing, as an example. Digital marketing could do something for every industry, but if you specialize in the floral industry or the consumer products industry, then you're differentiating yourself from everybody else. So that's the key here with your product description. When you start understanding what your product is, you really want to be able to say, okay, my product solves this problem. And this is how my product solves the problem. And we reach these customers, and they would want to buy our product because it will help them do this, right? You really want to be able to explain that carefully, because when you explain this and you start putting together your unique value proposition, it helps you market the product. And you'll need this information when you start to market the product, whether you do social media or advertising on TV. You need to be able to explain what we call the features and benefits of your product. So the features of a product is something that is built into the product or the service, and the benefit is something that the consumer would get from that feature that you have. For example, if I had a car and it had a big engine, The consumer may not care that it has a big engine, but what's the benefit? Well, the benefit is the car goes really fast, or it's really strong, or it can carry more weight, something like that. Of course, the opposite of that is it probably uses more gas, right? But they're willing to make that trade-off for more power. So the features and benefits help describe what your product is because it helps differentiate your product from another. And that's the key part here is what is your product? How are you different than everything that's out there? What is your unique value proposition? Or in some cases, we call it the USP, unique selling proposition. How does your product differentiate yourself against the competition? How do you solve the consumer's problem that, we're going to talk about target marketing here in just a minute. How do you solve their problem? What need do you fill? Why would they buy you? What are the features and benefits of your product? So that's what you do when you're describing your product. Now, let's talk about the next part, the homework number 4. So in this section, what you want to do is identify your target market and maybe even segmentation. So let's explain that for a second. The target market is everyone within your belief based upon maybe the research that you've done that would buy your product, that maybe you can solve their problem or fill a need with your product. It's a target. Now, let's say it's a bottle of water. Let's say I, Professor Ken, made a bottle of water. But this water, what's unique about it, as I define and describe my product, what's unique about it is that if you drink this water, not only does it fill your thirst and it's good for you, but it has a special ingredient in there, a secret ingredient that helps you think about marketing better, right? I know it doesn't exist. I'm just, coming up with an idea here. So that water, Professor Ken's marketing water, let's call it, right? Simple name. That's probably the name I wouldn't use, but let's just call it that for this example. So Professor Ken's marketing water is different because you drink the water, it'll help you think better about marketing, which means you'll make more money, your business will be more successful, you'll pass Professor Ken's marketing class, right? All that stuff is part of it. Okay, now let's think about our target market. Who drinks water? Let's start there, the very top. Well, that would be everybody, right? Okay. Now, can we sell to everybody? Possibly. Will we be able to sell to everybody in the beginning? Definitely not. So now we have to focus in a little bit. So how are we going to make that big target a smaller target so we can be a little more direct with our targeting? So let's say we just are in the United States. Forget about the rest of the world for a second. We're just in the United States. So everybody in the United States that drinks water. Okay, still 330 million people approximately. That's what the population is. Now, can I narrow it down even more to start with? Let's say yes. Let's say I only have a distribution center in Florida, and I can only sell to Florida because I have my own truck, and that's as far as I can drive right now to get my water out. Okay, so now that geography based, that limits my market, obviously, right? So now in Florida, let's call it 10 million people. Okay, 10 million people in Florida, they all drink water. Got it. Now, the next part of that, as we drill down a little bit, how many people that drink water actually buy bottled water? Maybe that's only 40%. And I use research to get the data. So that would be 40% would be 4 million. So let's just take a look at the number here for a second. If we were going to plan it out in a number, let's say, right? So let's say there's 10 million people in Florida, and 40% of them will buy bottled water. So that's 4 million, okay? Let's put 4 million there. All right, now we know that. Now, we don't want to stop there because 4 million are buying bottled water. But now my water, because it's special, right? You drink it, you're going to be great in marketing. It costs $10 a bottle. Whoa, that's pricey. Yes, it is. But think about the money you can make if you're smart in marketing. You'll be able to make a lot more money than just $10. So how many people out of these 4 million are going to drink bottled water that costs $10? Oh, well, that's probably even less than 4 million. That's probably only 10%. So let's say that's 400,000 now, right? So 400,000 is my new number. Now, out of that 400,000, when I'm drilling down my target, out of that 400,000, how many of them actually care about getting better in marketing? That's probably only 50% of them. And I'm coming up with these numbers based on research or estimations based on what I see in the marketplace and the competition. I've done some research here. I'm not just guessing. In some cases, I'm guessing and estimating it based on research. That's okay, because right now we're just trying to target in a little bit more. So 50% of that would be what? 200,000 is my total number. Okay, let's stop there. Where did we go? How did we get to 200,000? Well, we said at first the whole entire United States drinks water. No good, because I only have a distribution facility in Florida. I can only serve Florida. So the total population in Florida, it might be, I think it's more than 10 million, but let's say it's 10 million people in Florida. All drink water. Yes, we all do. I live in Florida. I drink water. Everybody I know drinks water in Florida. 10 million people do. But how many of those 10 million people actually drink bottled water? Well, only 40% of them would drink bottled water. So that's 4 million people now. You see how we're getting smaller to our segmentation? Now, out of those 4 million people that drink bottled water, how many people drink a water that will cost them $10, right? Because that's how much the water is, $10 at the very high end of bottled water. And I give you a great, nice little glass bottle. I even give you a website to learn some marketing tips when you unlock the code. I mean, I'm doing all this because you're going to get better in marketing. So you're spending $10. Maybe you only buy it once, or maybe you buy it 5 times. We'll talk about that another time. So right now, 10% of the 4 million is 400,000. Out of those 400,000, I could stop there, but I won't, because I want to drill it down one more time. Out of the 400,000, only half of them really care about marketing, right? Only half of them. So that's 200,000. So that's really my target market. Those 200,000 people that drink water, that will spend $10 on a bottled water, that care about marketing, okay, and are here in Florida. That's the idea. So 200,000 is my target. Now, that could be broken down segment-wise into men and women, working professionals and non-working professionals. It can be broken down into 18 to 25 and 26 to 45 by age group. So it can be broken down even further. And then one more layer, and this is how we get to our personas. It can be broken down into maybe social media channels. It can be broken down into cities and areas in Florida. It can be broken down into South Florida and North Florida and West Coast and East Coast. So we can break that down even further. So the idea here is to create a target market, start with the biggest, and then start going down, make it smaller, make it smaller, make it smaller, 3 or 4 levels below where you started, just so you can really target. Because here's what you're doing. You're creating, right, one big target, then you're making that a little smaller, and then eventually you're going to get right to that section. So why is that target important? Because if you don't have a target, you can't hit it. If you don't have a target, you can't hit it, right? I mean, imagine just throwing something here against the board, or just trying to hit everything here. That's wonderful. You might hit something eventually, but if you don't have a target, you don't know if you're high, low, side, none of that. So you have to have a target, and you have to drill it down, just like in bow and arrow, right? Just like an arrow coming into the target, you have to be focused into that target. And that's really important when we think about the target market. Okay, so that's the section here for week 3, and that's homework 3 and 4. So please go ahead and submit that when you can, the sooner the possible, and then we'll go ahead and we'll have a live session. I planned it to this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. and that would be the date on that would be hold on one second. That's the January 28th. But if you don't attend, that's fine. I'll do another recording, and then I'll start recording some of the presentations as well. Okay, so I hope you understand that. I hope you enjoyed that. Email me, write me, text me, and let me know how else I can help. That's all I have for now. Have a wonderful time doing your project. We're going to do it step by step, and I'll come back and review it again. And I'm sure it's going to be a great project. All right, that's all I have for now. I'll see you out there. So long.